Seriously? People have died and you're laughing? At Chris_Matheson. There is no such thing as the Harborside murderer. It's an urban legend. At Snug Bookshop. Really? So how did 3 people just disappear then? Answer me that. Chapter 3. Alice. 1 week earlier. Monday. It's the beginning of March, but a bead of sweat winds its way down Alice's spine as she unbuttons her damp coat and slides it off her shoulders. There's a small round wooden table in front of her, and a print of a dog sitting next to a gramophone on the wall. But Alice isn't interested in what she can see. She's listening for the tinkle of the bell above the door and the squeak of shoes on the sticky pub floor. But there's no one creeping up behind her. The pub is silent, apart from the tap-tapping of a man at his laptop on the other side of the room, the murmured voices of 2 old blokes at the bar, and the clink of glasses as the dishwasher opens. She takes a steadying breath, then flings the coat over the back of a chair and sits down on the padded corner seat, shuffling around the table so she's facing the door. Her pulse slows. Alice likes predictability. All-day delivery slots make her tense, and just the thought of someone sneaking up on her, covering her eyes and shouting, "Guess who?" is enough to bring her out in hives. The day she turned 39, she texted all her friends, telling them that under no circumstances were they to arrange a surprise party for her 40th. It was probably the worst thing she could have done. Her phone didn't stop pinging with threats to hire village halls, to swipe her spare house keys, to collude with Peter. One so-called friend had even tormented her with the promise of a male stripper. She shudders at the thought and takes a sip of her lemonade. As it turned out, there was no surprise party for her 40th, and although she'd felt nervous stepping into the restaurant her friend Lynn had booked, there was no stripper either. It was a lovely evening, surrounded by good friends and full of laughter. Peter had been on his best behaviour all evening, and even though she'd girded herself for unpleasantness in the taxi on the way home, he hadn't started a fight. Her mobile vibrates on the table, and she snatches it up, certain it's Michael cancelling their date. But it's just Lynn, her best friend and workmate at Mirage Fashions, asking her how it's going. She taps out a reply, keeping one eye on the door. It's tipping down with rain outside, and people are running past the pub, heads down, their faces obscured by heavy hoods and damp brollies. He's not here yet, and I'm shitting myself. I don't know why I agreed to this. Actually, I do. Emily. She inserts a rolling eyes emoticon at the end of the text, then deletes it. Her 20-year-old daughter didn't force her into using Tinder, but Emily certainly dropped a lot of hints. It's been 2 years since Dad left. I can't remember the last time you went on a date. You're 46, not 86. You don't have to spend the rest of your life alone. Doesn't it get lonely, spending the weekends on your own? She'd answered all of her daughter's comments with a sharp comeback, but when she tried to respond to the last question, the words dried in her mouth. Returning to her empty 2-bedroom flat wasn't so bad in the week when her daughter was there. Besides, she was so tired after spending 8 hours a day on her feet, smiling at customers and rallying her staff, that all she wanted to do was sink onto the sofa and lose herself in a documentary or some terrible reality TV show. But on a Sunday, when her daughter disappeared off to her boyfriend Adam's place, the flat seemed to swell, and Alice seemed to shrink. As she walked from room to room, looking for something to do, she felt like a marble rolling through a maze. And on the rare occasions when she spoke, to herself or to the television, her voice seemed to bounce off the walls. It was almost a relief to wake up on Monday and get ready for work. She stares at her phone, pushing down the wave of self-pity that threatens to engulf her, and deletes the part about her daughter. She presses send, and a couple of seconds later, the phone vibrates with a reply. Leave. Meet me for a coffee and a sandwich. Keisha can cover for me. It's a tempting offer, but there's no way she's going to let her nerves stop her from meeting Michael. She decided, on the 31st of December, as she whirled around Lynn's living room with her hands in the air and her head thrown back as 80s hits pounded at her eardrums, that the new year would see a more assertive Alice.